Anybody have any questions or any need to remove the minutes from the consent agenda? Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
I'll second.
All right. Motion Coleman, second Wells, that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. New business.
Chairman, Commissioners. The tree trimming program was implemented back in, if I'm not mistaken, around 2010, 2012, as a result of having several outages due to tree related to trees. So for over the past 8 years, we have a tree trimming program to make sure that we have a adequate distance between trees and conductors. Over the past few years, we used to have a 4-year contract that was renewed every year. So in order to make it a little more efficient, we'd like to have a 5-year contract for the program. We had a invitation for bids. 7 companies requested the bid documents, but only one submitted the bid, which is Asplin. They have been the contractor for the past 8 years or so. On your display, you will see on red lines, those are the areas that we do tree trimming on an annual basis. So we basically do 25% of the map, and then we rotate every year until we go through a complete circle. So I would like to recommend for the commission to approve Asplin to do the tree trimming program for the next 5 years. Any questions?
I have a question. Is the tree trimming program or map on the website at any time showing dates that you'll be in certain neighborhoods?
I don't believe we do.
Oh, so it's posted on the website and people can expect?
No, we don't. We don't have
You
any,
don't? Okay.
because most of the areas are within the right-of-way or easements.
Okay.
So there's no impact to homes at all.
What if there's damage to property, residents' property?
Then they will, in the past, I've been here 6 years, we haven't had any claims regarding tree trimming or damages related to tree trimming.
But I figured it would be covered by the contractor's insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Asplin is a pretty big company nationwide.
So it wouldn't be the city that would be?
It will be the actual contractor.
As a rule, they go out in the morning, depends on how much, every block isn't the same amount of work. So it's hard to tell where they're gonna be by 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I was thinking more of a range, like a week or so.
Oh.
To let them know that they'd be coming. But if it's in just the easements,
Most of them are in the right-of-way or easements, yes, ma'am.
Guns on the map, is the red what they would do over the 5 years, or is that just for year 1?
No, I'm showing the 5-year program on the map.
Okay.
So let's say year 1, they will do a section, then year 2's the other section.
Okay, so basically, I think you said like 25% or something.
25% or 20%.
So are the red lines the only overhead lines in your territory?
Yes,
And the rest is underground?
most of them.
Any other questions? All right,
I make a motion.
okay.
Second.
Motion Coleman, second Wells, that we approve a Expert LLC in an amount not to exceed $55,000 per year for 5 years for the 2021-2025 electric line clearance tree trimming program. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
I have a question. You said 55,000 per year?
Per year, for 5
I
years.
thought it was 55 all 5 years.
No, 55 per year.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
And for the past 6 years, we've been close or under 55,000.
Okay, got it. All right, new business item number 2.
Just as a quick background, in 2017, the Worcester Wastewater Master Plan made recommendations for the city of Gardner to adopt and implement an inflow and infiltration program that was approved in 2017, and in 2018, the contractor Trek Design Group began doing flow monitoring to determine which area of the city had the highest I&I. That section is what is called the Big Bull 2 sub-basin, which is mainly Warren, this part of the city, and the west side of the city. So the flow monitoring indicated that when we had rains, we had a spike. So that indicated the most, compared to the other basins, it indicated that that was the area that we needed to concentrate. You may remember that there was a private and a public aspect to the I&I. So we went ahead, most of the problems usually are private because people connect their sump pumps to the sewer, so that creates the I&I. So we concentrated on the private, and we did some smoke testing and additional inspections. However, it appears that most of the problems appear to be on the public side, not on the private. I think we only identified 3 or 4 homes that had some kind of illegal connection. So in order to address the public, we can have a few problems. It can be due by cracks, fractures, offsets, broken sections of clay tile pipe. So in order to attack this, we did a invitation for bids to line, they call it the actual terminology is cure in place pipe, CIPP, in which you can actually coat or line the interior of the pipe instead of actually digging and taking the pipe out. It's a more effective way of doing it. So we did a invitation for bid. We received 5 bids, and staff evaluated the contractors and selected SAK, and their bid was $399,416.50. I'm not an expert on CIPP, but Rick Gear is here. He's the utility staff engineer. And if you have any question on how the process or how it works, he will be glad to answer any questions you may have. But the basic idea is to line the interior of the pipe so we don't have any leaks. So we're recommending SAK to do these repairs. We have $600,000 this year to do repairs related to I&I. Any questions or?
So the finished product, is that like a fiberglass or a vinyl liner? I don't understand what it actually is.
Good evening, Rick Gears, utility staff engineer. Basically, the process goes from one manhole to another manhole, the full length of the pipe segment, and it's a poly resin. It's basically a felt that's inverted inside out, and when they install it, it gets put back right side out with the resin soaked side of the felt pushed back out onto the outside. It's inverted with gas or with air or water, and then it's cured with steam or hot water, depending on the contractor's choice. Basically, the finished product is basically like a PVC pipe inside the hose pipe, the old clay pipe that's all broken. So you have a newer PVC. It's a polystyrene resin material, but it's basically a new
So the
PVC pipe.
installed resin, is it a uniform thickness?
Yeah, it's called wet out. When they get it, they impregnate it with a vacuum impregnated felt liner. It's a fibery material like felt, and then it's just vacuumed in all the polystyrene resin into the material, and then it's.
So the inner liner would be slick?
Yes, yeah, just like a PVC pipe. It'd be a slick pipe, and it actually reduces the coefficient for flow. So you lose a little bit of diameter, but you gain coefficient. So overall capacity is roughly the same. So
What's the expected life of that?
the design life, they'll always say 50 years, but they've had liners in for probably over 50, 60 years now, out throughout the United States and worldwide, actually. So.
What's the durability, like, I mean, so if you have to repair this for any reason, do you insert new,
You could
patch it?
It's like any other pipe. It depends on the material and then what material you replace it with. You can cut in and attach to what they call like a Fernco adapter. It goes from basically match up the outside diameter of the existing segment of pipe that you're going to put in there and match it up, and then basically steel band it together the pipe. Typically, you won't have to do any rehab or point repairs like this after the liner's done, since it's basically you get a brand new pipe inside the existing hose pipe. And we designed this to have it structurally durable, to withstand the buried depth and the pressures, to be a pipe with on its own and distribute the weight of the soil and loading above, to even without considering the hose pipe that's in there, because there's going to be some areas where that hose pipe will continue to deteriorate and will no longer provide any structural stability to that pipe. So we designed the CIPP to be able to withstand all that, be a standalone pipe within the existing pipe.
What's the time frame to complete for the 399,000? Is it?
They're looking to get in. It's 45 days probably max,
I
and
think
that's
the contract says 60 days.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's they plan on getting here if everything goes and it gets approved. The contractor's looking to get it here towards the end of July or August, and probably be done by the end of August, depending on weather. But other than that, so.
Does the mobilization process include the removal of like tree limbs and things like that?
There won't be any removal of tree limbs. No needed. It's actually laid out on the ground and then put in through the manhole itself. So there's no excavation needed. They install it, cure it, and once it's done, they go in with a robotic, like a TV camera and a robotic, and be able to cut out all the service connections. That way they can continue to flow.
So what would the mobilization include?
Bringing all the materials, the refrigeration truck to hold the liners that have been wet out and prepared for the project to be on site and continue to maintain.
So I'm just curious why one bid was only like $2,000 for mobilization and one bid was $37,000. How would it be such a big difference?
That's the game contractors play to get that guarantee money for the mobilization versus per
So
unit
it's just a
price.
matter of getting the equipment there, it's not cleaning out.
Oh, yeah, that's, well, it's, part of that would be, the pre-cleaning, which is also, it's kind of where they put their money, for the pre-cleaning. So the contractor could have put they go in before, and they'll do a pre-cleaning of the sewer line, where they'll jet it out and clean it, and then they come in and also TV it, do a pre-TV inspection, so they can mark locations of services, verify that if there is a point repair needed, or if there's something they can't, an obstruction that they can't line through, that we'll get that noted, and then they'll get a subcontractor to repair that. That's the only time there'd be an excavation. We have 10 spots pointed out already on the project to have a subcontractor come in to do a point repair and
So there
fix.
really shouldn't be any surprises.
Shouldn't
And
be.
it's just such a big difference in this quote.
Yeah. It's just they didn't have access to the videos themselves to see firsthand before the bid, so they won't have that until they get here on site and then do the TV work themselves.
Questions?
Yeah, question.
Actually, I have one other question. So is this effort just for a certain targeted area, or have we already inspected, or is it for all of the pipe at a certain age?
This particular project is at Big Bull Creek 2 sub-basin. It's based on the flow monitoring and study that that Trek did for the I&I program. It is the higher priority area. It's one of the Big Bull 1 and 2 were pretty high with the I&I. Had a lot of peak when it did rain, get a lot of rainwater into the sewer in those areas. So this is targeting that specific area. And doing a comprehensive of all the clay pipe in that area. And as we continue this, we have the city's CCTV crews going out and continuing to inspect other areas that are other priority areas as we move forward and continue the program.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion Coleman, second Wells, that we approve a recommendation to the city council to award Stack Construction LLC for the 2021 cured in place pipe rehab contract in the amount not to exceed the amount of $399,516.50. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And the last item is consider recommendation to City Council to implement a utility rebate program. A very brief background. Back in the early 2010s, there was a program that was sponsored by the state of Kansas, and it was to provide LEDs to new homeowners. This, I don't know how many years it lasted, but it was maybe 1 or 2 at the most. So whenever somebody came to the utility billing to open a electric account, they will provide you 4 or 5 LEDs with the incentive to conserve energy. Then the next time, back in 2017, the UAC wanted to know if there were any programs that the city sponsored. So I did some research, and at that point, we didn't have any, except for the one previous in 2010. And the UAC didn't take any action at that time. Then last year, as you may remember, we had a presentation by Ecologics, and they provided some rebate programs they help or sponsor, including LEDs, smart thermostat, insulation, heating and cooling. After extensive discussion with the UAC, I provided some information that was back, I think, early this year, and about thermostat LEDs and the various different programs that are available. For example, thermostat, they offer a $50 to $75 rebate. LEDs per bulb, they will offer $1 to $5. Power strips, and the rebates between $10 and $20. I did a quick research on the smart power strips, and basically you can monitor every device that is plugged into the strip and see what is on. You can turn it on and off. Also includes a power surge, so it's a smart power strip because you can monitor your devices. And then the last one was a water irrigation controller. It varies between states, anywhere from $200 to $125 rebate. As I mentioned in the last meeting, I was able to contact Home Depot and Ace Hardware, and they were interested in helping us with a rebate program. They recommended using a coupon-based instant discount. Then the store will invoice the city for the discount or the difference. On the table shown, I summarized the rebate program for the 4 devices that we're considering. And like I mentioned, I'd like to get a buy-in from City Council before we go into the detail on how to implement the rebate program. And I'm requesting, I don't have it here, $25,000 for the electric fund and $7,500 for the water fund. So we can pay for the smart irrigation controllers and the electrical devices. So I'd like to recommend that you approve the recommendation to City Council for the next meeting or early July. Any questions?
I have a question. This is, they must call first to get a pre-approval. That's to make sure that probably the resident doesn't exceed the maximum in each category, and or maybe that you've achieved your maximum of 25,000. Is there any other condition that they would need to have approval on?
The reason for the pre-approval is the city, if we go with the coupon instant rebate, we will have to provide the coupon to the person that is interested. So they will have to sign in, and then we will go ahead and issue the coupon. Then it's a way of controlling if they have already requested that rebate. So there is a two-fold reason for that.
And that's it? There's no other provision that they would need to satisfy?
As far as right now that I know, that should be it.
And you said that for the 25,000 and the 7,500, that adjustments could be made to the existing budget. Is that still the case?
That will be up to City Council's approval.
Okay.
John, if you implemented this, can your staff make any kind of an attempt to evaluate whether this has a payback or not?
I can tell you on LEDs, that's pretty straightforward. If you have a, let's say, 80-watt bulb, that's you can put a 6-watt bulb to give you the same lumens. So on LEDs, I'm pretty sure there is not much, I think that's been proven, that there's a lot of savings. On the smart thermostat, by controlling, I think, your heater or your air conditioner, they will be saving energy because they can control it remotely or they can adjust the temperature. On the irrigation, same thing. You can, using a smart irrigation controller, you can, if it rains, you won't have to water your lawn. So I think that's pretty straightforward to me. I'm not sure about the smart power strip. How can you quantify the amount of savings? Unless you can monitor what devices are on and off, and you can turn them off as needed, so it won't be consuming energy.
So this would be a pilot program, and then it would expire at the end of this calendar year, and then we would see what the involvement of the citizens, whether they liked it or not.
Correct. We'll evaluate the how much interest was, how many people show interest in this program, and then we can reevaluate and set different goals.
Whether we did anything next year or not.
Yep.
So Gons, the only question I have, and maybe I'm just not, so if I'm a customer and I'm going to buy some LED bulbs, I would call the city to get a coupon before going.
To Home Depot or Ace Hardware.
From just a staff perspective, I mean, I guess my question, if I was on city council, would be, am I now, not only am I gonna spend, $32,000, but am I also adding undue expense trying to manage this program?
The conversation I had with Home Depot and Ace Hardware, that's the only options they were recommending. To provide a coupon or a code that they can use, and then it will be a one-time use. Once they use it, that's it. I don't think it will be that hard to manage for the pilot program. If there's a lot more interest by other residents, might be a different story, but hard to tell right now.
So how do the citizens know that this program exists? Will that
We-
be a mailer?
Yeah, what I said before, that we will put something in the web, or we will send an e-blast letting every customer that there's a program that the city is sponsoring.
But the utility department would have to keep track of which residents are asking for the coupons, right?
Yes. I don't know of any other way of doing it.
And also make sure that they don't go over the $25,000 limit.
I think that will be, if it's Home Depot or Ace Hardware, they will let us know how much of the rebate has been used.
So each coupon could be worth a different amount of money? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying, that if you're gonna buy a thermostat, you get 25% of the price, up to $75. And they have ways of setting it up that way.
Right.
I bought the irrigation controller 3 years ago and installed it. I think it's $230. That wasn't the cheapest one, but because I had several points, you have to buy more capacity. So it was like the next to the cheapest one to accommodate mine. Is $230 from Amazon or from the Rocky Mountain Irrigation here in town. Either one was $230 and about $50 to install it, but it's really not any different than installing a
Thermostat.
smart thermostat. You hook the red wire to the R. I mean, a lot of people could just do it themselves. I just chose not to because I wanted him to be responsible for the thing to operate. So that just gives, I'm sure they're more expensive now, but they're not $500. They're $250, $300 range probably.
My guess is most people wouldn't max out these
The only update I have, we had our Hillsdale expansion progress meeting today, and the substantial completion right now is June 24th. So they'll be doing
What was that date?
June 24th, a few days after the initial beginning of summer. So we will be able to produce water on June 24th. Right now, the water usage is about 2.8 million gallons, which is about the same amount as last year. Any other questions?
So I have one other question with the electric smart meters rolling out. If I understand, or I thought I heard that there would be the ability to look at the data from your meter or some kind of online portal, is that?
Correct. When we selected NextGrid, one of the application they had is that the homeowner can access the actual electric meter and look at trends, usage, and a lot of other parameters. NextGrid went to a different software, which is fairly new, and that's the one that was implemented this year. So that app is still not function, but they said it should be up and running by the end of June, early July. So you will be able to monitor your energy consumption.
And do you know if it's like every hour or 15 minutes, what the read rate is?
The read is every 15 minutes. On the water is every 4 to 5 hours. The reason for that is the water meter has a battery. The electric meter uses the alternate current, so you can pull the data more frequent, but it's set for 15 minutes.
Thank you.
Where are you at in installing the water meters?
We're about 40% completed. They're estimating the water meters to be complete by the end of September.
Oh, wow.
We had the contractor had a lot of problems getting people to install meters. I think they're down to 2 technicians right now. We had 5 at one time.
How are you gonna resolve that?
I mean, as a contractor, they have a deadline, so they have to meet the deadline.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I still am wondering if there's been any progress on pursuing the recovery or rebates that you're gonna try to get for that $5.6 million bill we got when we had the energy crisis.
I think I mentioned in our last meeting, right now there is a power cost adjustment. So you're paying, if you're a electric consumer, you're paying 2.8 cents per kilowatt hour more
Right.
every month on the average. And that's to recover that difference, to recover the cost that we had to pay for the cold snap, which is about $5 million. So over a period of 1 year, we should be able to recover the $5 million.
So you're not gonna be able to get any rebates, recovery from the people that charged you that amount?
We got some rebates, but right now the amount is about, let me think, I think it's close to $3 million what we had to pay additional.
Oh.
I think. I don't have the numbers, but through the power cost adjustment, we should be able to recover those $3 million or whatever the number is within 1 year.
So it really went from 5.6 to 3 million?
I believe that's the case, but I don't have my notes here, but
Well, that's pretty good.
I can send you an email with the right amounts.
so move.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, Williams, second, Wells. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Good job, thank you.